¿Qué iba?
What's your name? What's your name?
In April 2004, my son Rowan was diagnosed with autism. The feeling was like being hit across the face with a baseball bat. Grief, shame, this weird, irrational shame, like I'd somehow cursed this child by giving him my faulty genetics, watching horrified as he began drifting away to another place. But this story isn't about the tragedy of autism. This is a story about how, as a family, we did something crazy. How we ended up going halfway across the world in search of a miracle. But let's start at the beginning. December 27th, 2001. My wife, 8 months pregnant, and I were at a friend's house having tea when, like something straight out of a movie, she suddenly went into contractions. One quick C-section later, while they brought Kristen round from the anaesthetic, I stood alone in the private room with this little boy we'd already decided to call Rowan. The clock on the wall said midnight, which meant, I realised, that Rowan had decided to come into the world exactly 7 years to the day and almost to the hour that Kristen and I had first spoken. Are we going to tell the story of how we met?
Well, you start, because the first day I didn't talk to you.
That's right. Of course, she wouldn't talk to me. Who would? I wouldn't. But we met in India. I'd been hired to write a guidebook to the region. She was there doing research for her PhD in psychology. We couldn't have been more different. I was British, brought up partly in London and partly on a farm training horses. Kristen was a suburban girl from California. But the moment I saw her, a voice in my head said, clear as day, that's your wife.
Yeah, that's right. The first night, he asked me to marry him. And
must have been mad.
I'm like, yeah. Well, and I said, oh yeah, how many women have you asked to marry you before? And
so I lied and said none. Yeah.
Oh, you was a lie?
We embarked on 7 years of travel and adventure. We finally married and settled in Texas, where Kristen got a job as a professor of psychology. And I continued my career in journalism and human rights, working mainly with the Bushmen of southern Africa's Kalahari. When Rowan was born and we began living as a family, it was like everything had finally fallen into place.
Swing me just a little bit high.
And then, it all fell apart. The world had once been our oyster. Now it had narrowed down to just getting through the next day. No one could even give us a definitive explanation of what autism even was.
Now, autism obviously means a lot of different things to a lot of people.
One could argue that people have different definitions.
All right, I'll have a go.
Autism is due to neurological abnormalities in the early growth of the brain.
Autism is a neurological impairment that influences a person's ability to view the world in a socially typical way.
I had to learn social skills. Social skills can be taught. But sort of social chit-chat just for sort of the social relatedness, I'm not into that.
In autism, the brain is able to detect more information. If their brain is being flooded by lots of detail that the rest of us miss, that could simply get in the way of being able to interact socially. In addition, the person has very narrow interests in specific topics. Sometimes these are called obsessions.
Today we see autism as a big spectrum that can range from the severely mentally retarded person who is completely nonverbal to somebody who is a socially awkward mathematics or physics professor.
Our lives became clogged under a mountain of conflicting literature and information on the disorder, the possible causes, treatments, and prognosis. We tried everything. Behavioral analysis, pills, creams, diets. We were out of options. He didn't speak to us, spent hours lining up objects obsessively, was completely isolated from other kids, and subject to endless tantrums. His tantrums came in waves, several times a day, lasting sometimes up to 4 hours. Autism tantrums, they're not like normal tantrums. They're often neurological in origin, which means the child is unreachable, impossible even to console.
Point to where it hurts. Does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Is it here? Is it here? I've got a red mark here, but...
That's a big mosquito bite. I think maybe that mosquito bite has
It's gone.
inflamed.
The flea is gone.
The what?
The flea.
The flea? You have a flea? Oh,
Ooh.
Wait, where is the baby goat? Baby goat?
Big one.
For hours?
One more hippo.
Want more hippo?
I had been keeping Rowan away from horses because I thought he was unsafe around them. But one day, he ran away from me onto the property of my neighbour Stafford and ran right up to his old mare, a horse called Betsy. She didn't spook. Instead, her reaction was so gentle, so submissive, I realised immediately that he had some direct line to her. The moment I put Rowan on Betsy's back, he began to speak.
He's a nice horse.
This deep relaxation, it's such a rare thing for him. There's something going on between them that, even with all my years of dealing with horses, I just have never seen. It's this mystery, but it's a very beautiful mystery. Just like autism is a mystery. Feels like a warm, sunny day after winter. As Rowan began to open up to me for the first time, a light bulb went on in my head. I asked myself, why does autism have to mean the shutting down of everything? Why couldn't it be a gateway into adventure? Maybe even a gateway into healing? It may sound odd, but I have something of a history with traditional healing. In the course of my work with the Bushmen, I had, during the previous 10 years, been introduced into their world of healing through the use of a shaman. The Bushmen, and many peoples like them, address their spiritual dilemmas, their health dilemmas, their social dilemmas, even their political dilemmas, through the use of a trained shaman who enters a state of trance, talks to the spirits, and comes back with an answer. As unbelievable as it may sound, in my years of working with the Bushmen, I have seen, many times, people cured of a variety of illnesses this way. So I asked myself, was there a place on Earth that combined this kind of shamanic healing with horses? I did some research. It turned out that the place where horseback riding actually originated is the same place, the one place on Earth where shamanism is in fact the state religion. Mongolia.
You want to jump with Betsy?
Jump with Betsy.
Okay, let's jump with Betsy.
Betsy.
Okay, let's go.
Oh no, Betsy.
What if we were to go there, riding on horseback from healer to healer? What if we were to do something like that?
When you first proposed the idea, I just looked at him like, this is crazy. We have an autistic son, incredibly difficult to deal with just getting through each day. This is the absolute last thing we need in our life right now, is to go to Mongolia on horseback. It's just insane. I mean, I don't even like horses. We're gonna try to keep our tantruming autistic son on the horse, going from shaman to shaman, and this is gonna work?
But that, eventually, is exactly what I convinced her to do. Together, we were to set off from Ulaanbaatar, meeting with shaman along the way, then to a sacred lake, Lake Shaga, known for its healing waters, and finally, if we could find them, to the mysterious reindeer herders who live in the far north, where, I heard, the most powerful healer in all Mongolia lived.
It's just absurd.
Our guide, Tulga, picked us up at the airport and took us into the capital, Ulaanbaatar. I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but this depressed post-Soviet city wasn't quite it. I'd expected the open steppe, nomads, horses, Genghis Khan and all his warriors. Not an urban slum.
I think it wasn't exactly Ron's vision of Mongolia.
So look, here we are in the autism world. I'm preparing his morning chocolate milk. These are all meds that are related to his autism. This is Valtrex, which is the drug for herpes. Okay, so we're going to grind this up. Then there's the heavy metals. This is to help him metabolize the heavy metals that we know are in his body. Vitamin E, yeast defense. So this is to sort of help him with his gut.
Which isn't helping.
Which doesn't appear to be doing anything at all, yeah. But it can't do him any harm, so what the hell. And then this one here, I even forget why we're giving him this one here.
That's right, it's a different type of antiviral that the doctor thinks might help as well as supplement the Valtrex.
So, shake it up. Okay, that's ready for him when he gets up.
Nobody knows what really causes autism. Autism, like many other disorders, is very complex.
These days there's a consensus that genetics is going to be at the root of the cause. But we know that genes are not going to be the whole explanation.
Recently, there seems to be more problems with very severe autism that remains nonverbal and this regressive autism. And I'm very concerned about environmental contaminants.
One theory of autism is that individuals with autism are, you might say, a reaction to our environment. There's a lot of pollutants out there, there's heavy metals or pesticides. This is having a huge impact on the human body.
There isn't much doubt that an environmental factor will eventually be established, and it may be that it has to interact with the genes, that environmental factor only contributes to autism in an individual who's already got a genetic susceptibility.
Before our arrival, Tulga had been putting the word out that Rowan was coming. The result was that shamans were traveling in from all over the country for the healing, in what we were told would be the largest gathering of shamans since the end of communism. We're going up to the sacred mountain outside of Ulaanbaatar. Segen Ul is the name of it, and 9 shamans are going to meet us there and perform a ritual on Rowan. I'm quite hopeful. I think it could be interesting for all of us. We're going to do what all normal families do on a, what day is it today? Morning. We're going to go up a several thousand-foot mountain and perform a 4-hour ritual with shamans. Isn't that what all families do? Tell you what, Ron, let's go take a little walk down to the river. Do you want to have a walk down to the river?
I want to go to the river.
Hello. Thank you for seeing us.
So, it's really happy to receive you in the Mongolian land and his land and our land. You come here and really happy to receive you here.
Well, we're very grateful to be here.
When he was saying during the ritual singing, so he meant your side. There was a woman like almost saying to mentally something.
Yeah, the mental illness. My grandmother.
An ancestor.
On my side, my grandmother had mental illness, but she wasn't autistic. She was more just depressed and manic. If you know what that means. So she was mentally ill.
In fact, all the shamans concurred that a recent ancestor, a female ancestor on Kristin's side, was somehow clinging to Rowan, perhaps trying to harm him or even pull him away. If he doesn't want to have a drink of it, is it okay, or can we?
No, you have to.
Okay.
Have some water. Some more water.
Some water.
Out of that. Out of the bottle. Water. Water.
Water. It's water.
What's that?
It's water.
It's white water. White water. Taste the water. Taste it. Taste
Just
it.
take a little sip.
Water.
A little drink.
Drink. Water.
Yeah, take a little drink water first.
You have to stand the direction of your country, and also you have to wash your lower body where the Rowan was coming out.
Okay.
You have to wash it from up to down. You have to wash it with this.
Can it be over the clothes?
No.
No. Okay.
And you have to be quick. Go that way.
Okay.
The shamans also said that a black energy had entered Kristin's womb during the pregnancy.
Yeah. Just don't show my cellulite. That's all I ask. All right. You can Photoshop that, can you?
I couldn't help wondering, did I really have his best interest at heart here? Was I being a terrible father? I didn't know. Is he going to whip me?
Yeah, a little bit. You cannot scream. You have to face the mountain and on your knees. You're not allowed to scream.
Okay.
And cry out.
Apparently you're not allowed to cry out though.
Jump. Higher. Sure. Higher. Higher. That's it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's all done now.
I have him too.
Well done. She's proud of you. Come here. She gives her crazy husband. And then something happened. Something was released. Rowan began laughing, giggling, playing with the shamans. We were together again as a family. Clouds gathered, a cool wind got up, and the rains came. A very good sign, said the shamans. Thank you. After the last shaman had finished, Rowan turned to this small Mongolian boy who'd been there at the ceremony, and right out of the blue, hugged him and said, "Mongolian brother." He'd never done anything like this before. The boy's name was Tomo, the 6-year-old son of Tulga, our guide. After seeing the boy's interaction, Tulga decided to bring Tomo on the trip with us. Next morning, we set off into the great interior of Mongolia. 10 hours drive to the first nomad camp, where we were to meet the guides and horses who would take us to Lake Shaga and its healing waters.
Are they going to play together?
They might.
This is very unusual.
This is
playing
totally
with a kid
unusual,
like that.
yeah.
Very unusual.
I haven't seen him do that kind of interactive play before.
No.
Ever, actually.
No. The most he's ever done with another child is play chase.
But to actually have a sword fight and then
Never
again
done that
talking
before.
about being a pirate, and never done that before.
This pirate.
Very, very cool kid, Tulga.
Yeah. That's really encouraging.
Isn't it?
How do you like it? You don't like it at all?
I don't like it.
or you like it? Or?
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm doing a little dance. All I know is we went to see the shaman, and now, 2 days later, we're seeing even more involved play that I've never seen before ever. Is this because of the shamans? Isn't this because of the shamans? All I know is we went to the shamans, and now this is happening.
Hey, Mom, can you go poopy on the potty? Can you go poopy on the potty?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Okay, do a poopy. Do a poopy.
No.
No? Go, can you go poopy on the potty?
All done.
All done? All done poopy? I don't think he's ever successfully gone poo in the potty. Pretty much everything the books tell you should try doing, we've tried and have had no success. We took him out of diapers because we just thought if we didn't, he'd be in diapers forever. So we just have him wear underwear and hope that it's gonna be so uncomfortable pooping in your underwear that he'll eventually be potty trained, although it doesn't seem to be working out that way very much. All right, let me just make sure you're covered. If I could make one wish for the Mongolia trip, if they could like heal his resistance to using the potty, that is a very big wish. It could finally learn to use the potty. It would make our lives tremendously easier. I'm so tired of changing poopy underpants. I can't even tell you.
Man.
I've got a plastic bag in there.
Jesus Christ.
This is a bad one.
Get you all
Sure
clean.
you want this?
Wow, that was a explosion, mate. I don't feel quite as glamorous as Steve Irwin, but I do feel like I just wrestled with a beast. Okay. And at least the rainstorm hasn't hit yet. That was what you call a code brown.
First night.
Horses here? Yes, horses here.
We've just arrived at our first nomadic encampment. This is Rowan's first introduction to Mongolia proper. He's just totally into it. Oh, on we go. Oh. Hold the horn. You can...
For the night, we set up tents. Of course, the kitchen makes food. Also, the horses are ready there, and we will be seeing our horses, which they have been prepared for us. So they've been trained horses for 3 days minimum. Yeah. Right.
So you're going to be riding on horses that have never been ridden by Westerners before. So this should be interesting. Oh dear. God, this is beautiful.
The goats. No, I want the goats. Oh my God.
Rowan's relationship with animals is extraordinary. All these animals are incredibly tolerant of him. They let him do stuff that neurotypical kids often can't get away with. picks them up, he chucks them around, and the cat won't scratch him, the goats just sort of go limp and let him do this. And we see this time and time again. He's got something with animals, and he's always been obsessed with animals.
People with autism often have incredibly special talents, and they do things better than somebody that might not have autism.
For example, the ability to focus on a very narrow topic to the exclusion of everything else may be a very positive thing.
We've come across some who are excellent painters, excellent musicians, excellent at math.
You wouldn't have any electricity in this building. You wouldn't have any camera to film this interview. Any of these things if you didn't have people on some degree on the autism spectrum.
So some of those genes that are involved in autism may also have been very important as contributors to the success of humanity.
So now this week, I came in and I found that he had started putting his animals in boxes and sorting them. Look, all the birds are in this box here. The rhinos and the pigs are together. They are biologically close to each other. No one's told him this. The camel, the bison, and the muskox are together. The large cloven-hoofed animals. Now it gets interesting. It's this plains game. Buffalo, zebra, kudu, gemsbok antelope. He knows that these animals group together. I guess he's observed this in a wildlife documentary. And then over here, all by itself, in a special box, is the horse. So he's categorizing correctly at age 4 the genuses and species and what their relationship is to each other, but no one's told him this. So this, if you like, is a really good allegory of the mind of the autistic kid, in some ways really advanced, but also if you say, "Hi, little boy, what's your name?" he'll completely blank you.
But the locals, they said to us, you brought the rain. So it hasn't been raining like this. They like to say the man bringing rain has to be really, really good person. So we respect the person and offer many good foods and being more polite with the people.
So, tour guide, do you want to just tell us what we've got here?
We got sausages and lung and liver and hearts.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
All right, so
piece by piece.
I'm going to start with this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the...
I think it's a lung.
Lung, my favourite. That's really challenging. You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm enjoying.
That's I can only say this in English. That's really horrible. But I'm gonna eat it anyway.
It can go pretty good with some fats with it.
Look, there's Daddy.
Hey.
No, thank you. Car! You wanna go into my car?
They take here.
Car! 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 I want a car. Should we go to the car?
Let's go to the car.
Yeah, we'll go to the car.
But you know, if
Car!
to the car, to the
Get
car.
in!
Car, please, Daddy. I'm feeling a little anxious right now. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
It just makes you feel a little bit like, what are we putting him through?
Yeah, like
it's hard. It's stressful. It's difficult.
Guys, we have to get moving. We've waited almost too long. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep getting moving. Let's go moving. I'd never seen Rowan reject a horse before. Never seen him tantrum on a horse. The horse was always the place where his tantrums went away.
I can't ride on a different horse. I'm just so tired and exhausted.
Really?
And we've only been to, you have to kick every single step.
Do you want to take
and
this
to trot,
horse?
I've got to like,
Do you want to take this horse?
If you can change saddles.
It'll take a long to change saddles.
I'll just ride on the van. Jeremy's going to ride it and see if he does better.
Jeremy!
Jeremy?
Sit tight, sit tight.
Whoa, oh dear. Oh, shit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. See, this is a fucker of a horse. Are you okay, sweetie?
You want to get down? Okay, you can get down. We can, but the problem is every time we stop like this.
Mummy.
You want to go see Mummy? You want to ride in the car with Mummy for a bit? Okay. Oh!
I'm sorry, I'm in a very negative mood. That was
Okay.
one of the most uncomfortable half hours I've ever spent in my life.
All right, well, enjoy the ride in the car for a bit. And so, my son took off into the center of Mongolia in the back of a van with leopard skin seats and pink curtains. And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stop! Do you want to do that? Yes, please, and no, thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stop! In my daydream, this trip to Mongolia would bring him by himself riding. Him not having to sit there in the saddle with me, him riding by himself. Every parent who has a passionate interest wants to share that passionate interest with their child. But it's more than that. If Rowan can ride, then he's free, then he's got freedom. If that's something that could come of this trip, then that alone would be everything to me. 7, 8, 9, stop! Eventually, we let him out to play at a river, and Tulga took off with the van to try and find a mountain where he could get a cell phone reception. That was a mistake. The van was now Rowan's anchor of comfort in this unfamiliar place. Now it suddenly wasn't there. The result? Total meltdown.
Oh, he's pooing, I think.
I gotta get Cody.
Okay. We can use water for the water bottle.
Switch off the camera and come and help us.
Frog! We gotta go home! Outside! Eagle!
The van's
coming.
van will be here in about 1 minute. There it is, you see?
Yep, there it is. See, there's
The van's over there.
Okay, you want a mommy hug? Mommy hug? Oh, poor darling.
The van.
Okay, Ben's coming. Ben's coming.
The van is
Ben's coming. There's the van.
You do? I completely fucked up. I turned through just not thinking straight. A delightful experience for him into a pretty traumatic experience for him. And what that's teaching me is I've got to abandon any adult agenda. And it's funny, I hadn't even really realized until this moment that I kind of had one. So I let him down. And the important thing is just to remember why we're here, and why we're here is for him. It's the good and the right lesson to have learned.
Down. Down.
Get the geese. Hit him off.
Chase the geese.
Chasing the geese. I guess I forgive you. It's pretty cool, huh?
What an adventure.
What an adventure. I love my son.
He loves you.
It's a good thing.
I'm coming. All right.
As Tommy was a piper's son, he learned to play when he was young. But the only tune that he would play was over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain. King George commands and we obey, over the hills and far away. There's 40 shillings on the drum for those who volunteer to come to list and fight the foe today, over the hills and far away. O'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain. King George commands and we obey, over the hills and far away, over the hills and far away.
And I would love you all the day, every night would kiss and play, if with me you gladly stray, over the hills and over the hills and over the hills and far away. I love you. Well, it's true. I'm a better father because of his autism.
You?
I never thought I'd say that, but there's no question. I don't think I would have been that great a dad otherwise. All right, mate. Do you want to eat or do you want to go up to bed? You want to go up to bed? Okay. I'm a better father because his autism forced me to listen to what interested him above all else and implement it because I had no choice. I'm glad now that I had no choice. It was tough at the time, but we're onto something good here.
Very traditional Mongolian food.
Setege amagada modoyo otang soch ergon boraltsa.
Since the ceremony, I've been having these really vivid dreams, and I dreamt that I saw my grandmother happy, walking away like she had let go of Rowan. My dreams have been so powerful lately. I mean, normally I don't remember my dreams at all, but I have been here. But there was definitely a connection with, my grandmother and all her grief and sadness and that tendency, that kind of negativity my grandmother really had. I mean, in a way, she was a black hole. And what was interesting is, because I have a difficult time holding, understanding, spirits. And I mean, to be honest, I don't really believe in spirits, as kind of actual entities. I believe in them more as symbolic entities. Well, I suppose what was interesting is that I really saw it as, saw her spirit as a symbol, or maybe the actual, who knows, of that tendency in the female line on my mother's side. Of this real clinging and just kind of rage against not wanting things to be other than as they want them to be. And that's been passed down from her to my mother to me to Rowan. My rational mind says, what does all this mean? But, there's some connection there.
This is a goodbye photograph. A goodbye photograph.
Say goodbye, Blackie.
They're saying there is a spring. There's some several spring. One of the good rain. He's saying.
Maybe we can ask the locals if they know which one is good for the
Do you think we could visit the one that's good for the brain?
We have time, then we can go.
Yes, let's do that. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Baggy.
We decided to take the old man's advice and head to Lake Shaga and the healing spring, where, so they said, we could wash away our suffering. So back into the van we got for 3 days hard travel. The shamans had given us some homework. Every night, until we left Mongolia, we had to perform a series of rituals while praying for whatever negative forces were affecting Rowan to leave him be. Including, as out there as it sounds even by my standards, the spirit of Kristen's manic-depressive grandmother. He's just making cognitive advances at an accelerated rate over the last few days. I think having Thomas along is, key to all this.
You want just a Rain Man cookie?
No dang cookie.
Okay.
Autistic parents only eat Rain Man cookies. Here it was, Lake Shaga, much more beautiful than I thought it would be.
There's the lake, look at that. All right, let's get out.
Let's get out.
I have no idea if any of it has an effect or if it's just maybe calling up the focus and the intention for his healing, which in and of itself could be quite powerful. I don't know how useful it is to think of us as normal and totally healthy and Rowan as the sick one or the ill one. I think it's way more complicated than that.
We would not be having this amazing, crazy adventure across Mongolia if Rowan was not autistic. It seems like a curse in some ways, but in many ways it's a real blessing. And to allow it to be. To allow it to be.
And also, this is Rupert's in my life before we had Rowan. We were traveled all over the world.
Yeah, and we just thought we'd never be able to do it again.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we tried a couple of times.
And it was a disaster.
Disaster, you know. And we were terrified that this trip would turn into a real disaster too.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. Rowan's just been so into it. And even when he was shaky the first couple of days, he was still into it. You know, I think something's really shifted with him.
Yeah, he's finding his adventurous heart.
Yeah, he is. I can tell you, this is a fairly hard trip in many ways, but I've had harder car rides to the grocery store with Rowan. I mean, seriously, haven't you?
True, yeah.
Playground!
Go outside and see what's there. Well, this is kind of a good lesson in this is a high-functioning autistic kid. You can see, like, sometimes you can go out and even just to make it 300 yards up a trail can be, like, massively stressful. Well, you really know how to be charming when you ask for things.
Swing, you can swing.
Come on, let's go. Oh, look, here's some more days. I gotta admit, I'm feeling a little down tonight. I don't know. Sometimes I think he's like leaping forward, and sometimes it's like he's totally regressing.
He goes up and down like a ping pong ball.
Am I just kidding myself that I'm not attached to him recovering? You know, will he ever be really functional? Will he have to go into an institution when he's older? Will he recover? Will he surprise us?
Baby cow.
Let alone will he ever ride a horse by himself, you know? I don't know.
No.
Calm down.
Tonight he's basically just like a giant 18-month-old, and it's very painful for me to see.
Okay.
No, I'm down. And I'm feeling like, with the camera on me, I'm just almost makes me want to cry. The water over your head. On your head.
Ready?
A little bit of waiting.
Okay, let's go.
So he's developed an obsession with this train, and not just with the train, but with these animals here. Sometimes I've hung out here for up to 2 or 3 hours at a time, sometimes. And I've probably ridden this train 200 times. You can? Thank you. Thank you very much. Phew. Well, that was lucky they let us on. But it can be quite lonely sometimes, as you can imagine. I mean, we spent, you know, the last 2.5 years like this a lot of the time, and it's very rare that you could ever get anyone to come along and do this with you. And it can get a little lonely. It's one of the things which I think all parents of autistic kids have to deal with.
I think before a parent can come to acceptance, there's an enormous amount of grieving that has to be done. I think people are dealing with loss from the loss of a dream. I see what comes up is exhaustion from dealing with behavior problems a lot, from dealing with an environment that looks at the parent as if they're doing something wrong, and because they see a kid that's tantruming and they just assume that maybe the parent isn't handling it well. People just don't understand what they're going through. There's so many fears that their child, their adult child, will be taken advantage of, that there won't be a place for them. I've worked with families whose adult children are not toilet trained. They worry that they won't have any friends, that they'll be all alone, and when their family goes or their parents go, there won't be anybody around to care for them.
Our final destination was far north near the Russian border to try and find a group of indigenous people called the Duka, the reindeer herders. Before man ever rode a horse, he rode the reindeer, the first large animal to be domesticated at the end of the last ice age. Now reduced to just 200 people, the Duka tribe, and everyone agreed on this, had the strongest shamanic tradition of all. So we're on the second last day of our long drive, and he wants to get the reindeer people so bad.
This is for Mommy, and this is for Mommy and Tuka, and this is for Mommy and Tuma, and this is for Mommy and Tum, and this is for Mommy and Tameru.
What's for Mommy and Tomu? Hey, Rowan, what's for Mommy, Tamul, Daddy, and Tolga?
That was a giant motherfucker of a poo last night.
Oh God, I'm getting so depressed about that. You know, I just had these visions of him at 14.
Still shitting his pants, I know. I don't fully understand why he's so resistant.
So how are we going to deal with that to try to get him to accept the horses again?
I'm afraid that he's set up an autistic pattern where he'll just roundly reject it because it represents some unpleasant memory. And then when we get to the horses again, yes, of course I'm worried. And of course I'll feel a failure and humiliated and all these things if he roundly rejects it. So thank you for pressing that insecurity button in me this morning. That's very sensitive.
Just trying to.
I'm only kidding.
I'm just trying to also prepare myself.
That morning, we waited for the guides and their horses to arrive, to lead us north to the reindeer camps closer to the Russian border. From here on, there were no more roads. We'd have to leave the van. I worried and fretted. Would Rowan get back on a horse, or would he reject them again? Would we actually be able to do this?
Come on, Rowan, let's go.
Okay.
Come on, Rowan.
Okay.
There we go.
It's
Good
all right.
job.
It's all right.
There we go. Sit like that. There we go.
There we go.
It's all right. Yes, yes. Do you want to hold the reins? Sure. Oh, no.
You closing his eyes?
Let's go. Short ride.
I had to find a way to get him in a better mood, and fast. I didn't know what to do. I was searching for inspiration. And then, the gods of toilet humour spoke to me.
What's that?
It's a?
A code brown.
It's a code brown.
It's a code brown.
It's a code brown. Code brown. It's a poofy, poofy, poofy everywhere. No, it's poofy.
What's that?
It's a?
Code brown.
Code brown. Code brown. Code brown. Code brown. Code brown.
What's that?
Rhinoceros having a code brown.
What's that?
That's a?
Code brown.
Code brown.
I'm going to the forest to see the reindeer people.
That's right. You're going through the forest to see the reindeer people.
I want to ride a reindeer.
Yes, I want to ride a reindeer. Do you want to ride a reindeer?
Thank God, Rowan was enjoying riding again, enjoying the adventure, because it took 2 full days to make the ascent, 12,000 foot up to the summer pastures of the reindeer people, crossing rivers, negotiating bogs, spending 8-9 hours each day in the saddle, wondering the whole time, would we actually make it? I no longer had to worry about Rowan, but now Kristen's exhaustion was starting to tell. And then, just below the highest point of the pass, her horse kicked her.
Did he actually get you? How hard did he get you?
No, give me 2.
Oh, he really got you.
Oh, everything just hurts. I've never really done this kind of mountain riding, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it, love.
There you are.
We have 2 hours. So from the pass, we can see reindeer people. We can see the reindeer people. It's very close.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to have a little rest and then we're going to ride over to the reindeer people. See that?
Okay, we can go.
See the pass up there, Rowan? On the other side? Reindeer people. On the other side is the reindeer people.
We can go.
Yeah, think you make it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Jesus. Look behind you.
Wow. I don't see them, Tori. Yes, we're going to go around here to the reindeer people. The reindeer just around the corner, are they? The reindeer people are just around the corner. Let me just get back on, because this is killing me.
Yeah, we said they're right around the corner and we don't see them, so I'm hoping you really are here. Hope they didn't decide today was moving day.
I hope I don't have to do some difficult explaining.
Reindeer. To your right.
Oh, there's a reindeer, look. Look at it.
There they are. How about that? They're teepees and satellite dish. Yeah.
Oh my God.
How about that?
Oh my God. It's the reindeer people's teepees, look. That's where they are. You made it. You made it all the way. You made it all the way. I am so proud of you.
You want to ride a reindeer?
We do want to ride a reindeer, yes. I really didn't know if we were going to make it.
Oh.
We actually made it. That's amazing, isn't it? And so, thank you very much for letting us come and drop into their lives like this. We've come a long way from America because our child has autism. And we had heard that the shamans of the reindeer people were both powerful and kind. And so we thought we would bring our boy up here just to see if there's any help that could be given.
He says his father is the person we are going to meet. He's not well, but you check with him. See, you want to send hot.
I don't even know his name, the shaman here. What's his name?
Ghost. He's definitely the most powerful one in this region. He said he can do the ritual.
Torga reported that Ghost needed a full night to communicate with the spirits to find out whether he could help Rowan. Tomorrow, he'd let us know.
It's reindeer.
Okay. He's cute. Okay, time to get up? All right, one more hug and a kiss on the neck.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's okay. Let's go hold the baby reindeer.
Hug the baby reindeer?
Let's go hug the baby reindeer. Are they cute?
Abracadabra. What's that?
It's his back.
Abracadabra. And his weaver. Weaver. And welfare. And will. And wheezy. And hay. And hope.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Where did you get those names? What did he say? Wheezy, Wilford?
I've never seen him just spontaneously name a bunch of animals.
Talk to shaman. He thinks it's possible to do it today, this evening, but 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, okay.
He said he did some ritual last night, and now he will be in his costume and we'll talk to him.
Thank you.
A little bit.
What's that?
It's eagle feathers, like an eagle.
Did you see a hawk in the house?
Mm-hmm.
The hawk was in the house.
The hawk was in the house, that's right. Here's the drum. Oh, Rowan, no.
Don't touch the eagle feathers.
Don't go for his face. Sit with your daddy. Oh. There we go. With daddy.
Sit quiet. Wow. Sit quiet. Wow, that's shaman. He's an eagle. He's down on the tree. An eagle nest. A mama there's baby bombs.
Drink water. Drink the water.
Drink the water. Drink.
He says it'd be fine with the. He thinks he would be better by tomorrow.
Okay.
He said he will become visiting us tomorrow.
Okay.
Very good.
That's what. He said he's leaving this area tomorrow.
Okay.
Before it gets too dark, you have to leave.
Okay. All right. Tom, thank you.
Take care of your kid.
Thank you. We will. You want more shamans?
Do you want more shamans?
Oh.
There's a shaman.
There's a shaman.
Say bye-bye. See you tomorrow, Rowan. See you tomorrow.
We're going
to... We must go. Torga, we must go, he says.
What's up?
You wanted to stay there, didn't you? Well, I expected him to be tantruming like that because he didn't want to see the shaman and didn't want to be in the tent, not because he had to leave. That's extraordinary. It's wonderful.
He said the parents have to prepare his drum and the costume. Means he believed, the shaman believed Rowan may become a shaman in the future.
One way of explaining an illness is to say, oh, this person's sick. Another way of explaining an illness is to say, this is a different type of person, and they will have a different role in society. One of the most common things that anthropologists have found among healers, like shamans, is that almost always people who are shamans, no matter whether they're in East Africa or whether they're in Central Asia or South America or Australia, they have gone through some sickness. And often that illness is an illness with a constellation of symptoms that are certainly neuropsychiatric. The shamans don't show neurological symptoms because they're shamans. They become shamans because they had these neurological symptoms. We don't know why, but one thing we do know is that the line between what is a shaman and the line between, say, a psychoanalyst is not that clearly drawn. We are one of the few societies that treat neurological and psychiatric difference by creating institutions where we separate people completely from society. Most other cultures aren't like that.
Obviously, I think there's dangers into totally saying, oh yes, it's the shamans, and completely buying into that symbol system as well. I think I'm a little more skeptical than Rupert. Well, you know, he goes up and down naturally, and we don't know if it's definitely a permanent gain. So I'm a little more cautious in terms of saying I'm hopeful and things look good. But I do think it's important not to expect like a miracle cure. Like, you know, there was a little part of me that's like, after the shamanic ceremony, was he going to wake up and be just totally normal? And of course he wasn't. It's outside of my normal experience, put it that way.
We're going to the car.
Maybe I should change my shirt after 5 days.
Just a thought.
Ghost had told us the night before that Rowan would become gradually less autistic over the next 3 years. But most importantly, the stuff that really drove us crazy, the incontinence, the tantruming, these would end today. We would start to see them leave right now. I was guarding my heart. I didn't want to allow myself to be disappointed.
There we go. Okay, go on. Say goodbye.
You're doing the taste test?
Yeah.
Now it's time to. He's leaving. It's time to take the round.
Say goodbye to the shaman.
Goodbye to the shaman.
Thank you for the healing.
And with that, it was finally time to go home. As we rode away and down the mountain, just as Ghost had said, that, indeed, was when everything began to change.
Ah! Echo!
Oh my God, I can't believe it. He's doing an intentional poo.
You just totally did it.
That's the first stage to the potty. That is success. That is success right there. Excellent.
Outdoor squatting food. Woohoo!
That's incredible, incredible. Brilliant, you are brilliant. Brilliant. Rowan poopied on the potty.
You're brilliant.
Brilliant.
You're brilliant.
Okay, to pooping in the toilet.
This is the start of something new. He's wanting to play with the other kids and not with us. Like most normal little kids, they want to play with each other, not with their parents. This has never happened before, where he's just totally involved with them and totally ignoring us. It's amazing. And he's one of them, you know?
Do I think it was the shamans? My honest answer is yeah, of course, I do.
I'm open to the possibility that there's something happening with the shamanic way of understanding things. But on the other hand, I'm open to the idea that just when you take a kid and you take them to Mongolia and you push them to their limits, they have to confront challenges they wouldn't otherwise, and that may be the cause of it.
What does it matter? What matters is that he's leapt forward and that we came here and it happened. That's what matters. Now say a little prayer for all of us that live with autism, whether we're autistic or whether we're the parents of autistic kids, or whether we know people who have autistic kids, or whether it's our grandson or granddaughter or our nephew or our niece or our kid or our sibling. I hope, this is my prayer, that we find a way to understand and integrate this enigma into the best of our society and the best of who we are, and that it helps to bring out the best in us all. That's my prayer. Anyway, I'm grateful. Thank you. What I want you to do is I want you to take the reins like that in your hand and turn Betsy. Say, come on Betsy. You say, come on Betsy.
Say, come on Betsy.
And lift your hand and push across like that. Say, come on Betsy, that's right. Turn her by yourself. Okay, say, come on Betsy, let's go to the barn.
Let's go to the barn.
All right, now turn Betsy this way. Push your hand like this. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Give her a little kick. Yes. And away she goes. Excellent. You're riding. Pull, get the ready to pull. Yes! You just rode. You just rode. You just rode. You just rode, you little scummy. You just rode. Thank you, Betsy. I don't think I can even speak right now.
You push first, push and poopy out. Oh, good job. Do you have another one in there? Flush. And let's wash your hands.
I think it's very important that we do learn to live with autism in the sense that there's a lot of adjustments our society can make to become more autism friendly.
I really hope that as people learn more about autism, they will see autism as a form of diversity.
You know, I think we need to figure out a way to prevent some of the most severe forms of autism. But you certainly do not want to get rid of autism genetics. And I get asked if I could snap my fingers, would I want to be not autistic? No, I wouldn't be, because I like the clarity of thought that I have.
I think the thing that's so remarkable is how much our lives have changed since coming back. It's just, it's night and day. I can't even tell you how different it is.
What's your name?
It's Rowan.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
He's just charming. He's just
a brilliant kid.
He is. And his kind of quirky way of looking at the world is precisely what makes him so charming and interesting and fun and funny.
And that I've got no interest in trying to change.
None at all. No, quite the opposite, actually. It's what makes him so wonderful.
This is Curious George. He lives in the zoo. He was a good little monkey.
Patty and Adelina are babysitting Rowan tonight, and Rowan has said he's happy to have them do that, and Rupert and I are going to go to a movie and have dinner. You know, I'm really starting to taste freedom, freedom like we haven't had for the last 6 years, and it's pretty nice. Bye, have a fun night.
I think that the family influences how a child views themselves. So if the family comes to a place where they can accept that their child has autism and love the child and develop a relationship, their life is going to be much better.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rowan. Happy birthday to you.
Did Rowan get cured of his autism? No. Rowan is still autistic. Did Rowan get healed of the dysfunctions that went along with his autism? The physical and emotional incontinence, the inconsolable tantrums, the isolation from his peers? Yes. For us, this healing was frankly miraculous. But perhaps the real miracle was that we went to Mongolia with a child suffering and a family suffering, and we found healing through whatever means. The bottom line is that we took the adventure, and through that adventure, we found a way, both as individuals and as a family, to break free.
Where the doors are moaning all day long, where the stairs are leading from dark to dark, where the windows are breathing in the light, where the rooms are a collection of our lives.
So this is the New Trails Centre, and we have founded an equestrian and autism learning facility in Central Texas, near Elgin, Texas, where we live.
Good. Now we're walking. That's a walk.
The schoolhouse here is all set up for teaching special needs. We have a number of good qualified therapists now coming in and working with us on the non-horse side. As you can see, there's a lot of happy kids here now.
And
one, good. And one.
Two.
And one.
One.
And one.
One.